Students, welcome. Now, in this lecture, we will going to discuss on the types of active absorption. In previous lecture, we discussed active absorption and passive absorption. Now, let's see the types of active absorption. There are two kinds of active absorption. First, the osmotic absorption, and second, non-osmotic absorption. In osmotic absorption, Atkins and Priestley in 1922 proposed that the water is absorbed from the soil into the xylem of the root according to the osmotic gradient. Atkins and Priestley proposed that water is absorbed from the soil into the xylem of the root according to the osmotic gradient. Such absorption does not directly require expenditure of energy. Such absorption does not require directly the expenditure of energy. A gradient of diffusion pressure deficit or gradient of water potential develops from the epiblema to pericycle. Epiblema to pericycle due to the activity of living cells of the root. Root pressure is developed, and this root pressure forces water from pericycle to the xylem and then upward to the stem. That is the osmotic absorption. And non-osmotic absorption, the Kramer and Thiman in 1959 shows that sometimes water is absorbed from the soil against the concentration gradient. The Kramer and Thiman shows that water is absorbed from the soil against the concentration gradient. Such absorption requires an expenditure of energy released during respiration, and for that purpose or for that absorption the energy is required. He shows that energy is required, and for that he gives some proofs that poor supply of oxygen retards the water absorption. He shows that poor supply of water retards the water absorption. Then he also shows that low temperature retards the water uptake because temperature is required for the respiration. In low temperature the rate of respiration is decreases. He shows that use of metabolic inhibitors also retards the rate of respiration, and thus the water uptake is also retarded. So he considered that Kramer and Thiman that expenditure of energy is essential for the non-osmotic absorption, and in Atkins and Priestley shows that there is no need of expenditure of energy. In the osmotic absorption, the water is absorbed against the osmotic gradient according to the osmotic gradient. Then next topic is the translocation of water or ascent of sap. The transport of water with dissolved minerals from root to the aerial parts like stem and leaves against the gravity force is called translocation or ascent of sap. What is translocation of water or what is ascent of sap? Transport of water with dissolved minerals from root to the aerial parts of the plant against the gravitational force is called ascent of sap or translocation of water. The translocation of water occurs through the lumen of conducting elements of xylem, tracheids, and vessels in all vascular plants, from where the translocation of water takes place through the conducting elements. Which is the conducting element? The xylem, tracheids, and vessels all are the conducting elements. Several theories have been put forth to explain the mechanism of translocation of water. The first important theory is root pressure theory or vital theory. That root pressure theory also raised some objections, or it has some limitations. Then another theory is put forth there, that is capillarity theory or physical force theory, that have some limitations. Cohesion and adhesion or transpiration pull theory, cohesion tension theory or transpiration pull theory. That is for your syllabus, so we can discuss on that. Transpiration pull theory or cohesion tension theory. That transpiration pull theory is widely accepted theory, was put forth by Dixon and Joly in 1894. This theory was based on two principles. This theory was put forth by Dixon and Joly, and this theory was based on two principles. First, cohesion and adhesion, and then second is a transpiration pull. Let's see. A strong force of attraction between water molecules. You know that the attraction between the water molecule, that is the cohesion force, while strong force of attraction between water molecules and lignified wall of the lumen of vessel is called adhesive force. Due to the combined cohesion and adhesive forces, a continuous water column is developed in the xylem from root up to the tip of the topmost leaf in the plant. The strong force of attraction is present between the water molecule is called as cohesion force, while the strong force of attraction between the water molecules and the lignified walls of the xylem and vessels is called as adhesive force. Because of that cohesive force and adhesive force, a continuous water column is formed in the lumen of the xylem from root to the topmost of the leaf or plant. That is the cohesion and adhesion principle. That is next principle is the transpiration pull. The transpiration pull developed in the leaf is transmitted down root and thus account for the ascent of sap. Excess water is lost from vapor through the stomata found on the leaf. You know that transpiration process. In that transpiration, excess water is lost to form water vapors in the from the stomata that are found on the leaf. This water increases the water potential of mesophyll cells or diffusion pressure deficit of the mesophyll cell. These cells withdraw water from the xylem in the leaf. Due to the continuous transpiration, a gradient of suction pressure is developed right from guard cell to the xylem in the leaf. This will create a tension that is also known as negative pull or transpiration pull in the xylem. Consequently, water column is pulled out the xylem, thus water pulled upward passively against the gravity, leading to the ascent of sap. You know that transpiration process. In that transpiration, water is evaporated from the upper parts of the in the environment from the plants. That transpiration or the evaporation of water create a pressure, that is the suction pressure in the xylem, and because of that suction pressure the water is pulled upward direction against the gravity, that is known as ascent of sap, and that is the transpiration pull principle. That is the transpiration pull theory. Some objections are raised or limitations that are found in the transpiration pull theory. Let's see which is the limitation. For transpiration pull, water column should be unbroken and continuous. However, due to temperature fluctuation during day and night, gas bubbles may enter in water column breaking the continuity. Then what happened? This mechanism is assumed that tracheids are more efficient than the vessels as their end wall supports water column. However, vessels are more evolved than tracheids and are more efficient. If plant is smeared with Vaseline in order to stop transpiration, even the ascent of sap occurs. Ascent of salts also occurs in deciduous plants that have shed off all their leaves. That is the some objections or limitations of transpiration pull theory.